Can I actually figure out why dogs follow their owners everywhere? Or have most of us completely misunderstood what dogs are really doing when they constantly stay close to humans? If you own a dog, you have probably experienced it countless times already. You stand up to walk into another room, and within seconds your dog quietly follows behind you like it is the most normal thing in the world. At first, it seems funny and harmless. But over time, many owners start wondering why dogs do it so consistently. Some dogs follow people from room to room all day long, wait outside bathroom doors, monitor movement around the house constantly, and seem emotionally aware of where their owners are almost every minute of the day. The more dogs I observed closely, the more I realized this behavior was often much deeper than simple clinginess or attention seeking. Some dogs followed calmly and confidently, while others became intensely focused on their owners during stressful moments, routine changes, emotional tension, or unfamiliar situations happening around the home. That completely changed how I viewed the behavior. One experience especially stayed with me. I once spent time around an older rescue dog that quietly followed its owner everywhere but rarely demanded attention directly. The dog never jumped excessively, barked constantly, or acted dramatically. Instead, the dog simply stayed nearby at almost all times while calmly observing everything happening around the environment. At first, I assumed the dog was simply overly attached. But the more I watched the relationship closely, the more obvious it became the dog seemed emotionally calmer whenever the owner was nearby. The owner's presence itself appeared to provide emotional reassurance and environmental stability for the dog. That moment completely changed my understanding of why many dogs follow humans so closely. One thing many people misunderstand is that dogs evolved alongside humans for thousands of years and gradually became deeply socially connected to human behavior, routines, movement, emotional cues, and environmental patterns. In many ways, humans became central to how dogs understand safety and predictability. That emotional connection matters enormously. Another thing that surprised me repeatedly was how differently dogs follow depending on emotional state and personality. Some dogs follow casually and independently, while others become much more attentive during stress, uncertainty, environmental changes, illness, loud noises, emotional tension, or unfamiliar situations. Context changes everything. A calm dog quietly following an owner through the house often communicates something very different from a highly anxious dog panicking whenever the owner leaves the room briefly. One thing that changed my perspective completely was realizing many dogs follow owners because humans become emotional reference points inside the dog's world. Dogs constantly monitor trusted humans to understand whether situations feel calm, stressful, safe, exciting, or unfamiliar. This becomes especially obvious in emotionally observant breeds and deeply bonded dogs. Some dogs repeatedly check where owners are located because proximity itself feels emotionally reassuring. If the trusted human remains calm, predictable, and emotionally stable, many dogs naturally relax too. That emotional reassurance becomes incredibly important for some dogs. One moment that stayed with me involved a nervous dog visiting a busy, unfamiliar home for the first time. The dog spent nearly the entire visit quietly following its owner from room to room while unfamiliar people, sounds, and movements surrounded the environment. At first, it looked excessively clingy. But eventually it became obvious the dog was using the owner almost like an emotional anchor inside an unfamiliar environment. Staying close helped the dog feel safer and more emotionally regulated while processing everything happening around him. That distinction changed everything for me. Another hidden truth many owners discover is that dogs often become extraordinarily familiar with human routines over time because they continuously study movement patterns, emotional rhythms, household timing, and daily behavior throughout the day. Many dogs eventually learn to predict walks, feeding schedules, work routines, visitors arriving at the home, car rides, and bedtime habits long before humans realize how closely the dog has been quietly observing everyday life. That level of observation surprises many owners once they begin noticing how early dogs react to familiar patterns. One thing that shocked me repeatedly was how emotionally attentive some dogs become during difficult periods inside homes. Dogs often notice sadness, anxiety, illness, emotional tension, frustration, arguments, or unusual behavior changes much earlier than many owners expect. Some dogs begin following owners more closely during emotionally difficult periods without humans even realizing the behavior itself has changed. That emotional attentiveness is one reason many people feel dogs are deeply connected to human emotions. Another major truth many people eventually realize is that following behavior is not always purely emotional. Some dogs also learn through repetition that staying close to humans often leads to rewards, attention, food opportunities, activities, walks, or environmental stimulation throughout the day. Dogs are extremely observant learners. Over time, many naturally realize that humans are usually connected to the most important events happening around the environment. One thing that changed my perspective completely was realizing dogs often communicate silently far more than humans realize. Many dogs rarely express emotional connection through dramatic behavior alone. Instead, they quietly observe, monitor, anticipate, and stay physically close to trusted humans throughout the day because proximity itself feels emotionally meaningful to them. That silent connection becomes a huge part of the relationship. Another hidden truth is that some dogs follow owners more intensely because they struggle emotionally with separation or uncertainty. In those situations, the behavior can gradually become anxiety-driven rather than simply affectionate. That distinction matters enormously. A relaxed dog following calmly usually looks very different from a dog showing panic, distress, hypervigilance, pacing, whining, or emotional instability whenever separation occurs. One thing that surprised me repeatedly was how much following behavior increased once dogs formed stronger emotional trust with owners over time. Dogs that initially behaved independently sometimes became far more attentive once emotional safety and attachment started developing gradually inside the relationship. That emotional attentiveness often deepens as trust grows stronger. Another major truth many people eventually discover is that dogs do not separate emotional safety and human presence the way humans often do. For many dogs, trusted humans themselves become part of what makes environments feel predictable, understandable, and emotionally secure. That changes how many dogs experience daily life completely. One thing dogs constantly reveal is that following behavior is rarely random. In many situations, dogs are seeking emotional reassurance, monitoring safety, predicting routines, strengthening connection, studying human behavior, or simply staying close to the people they trust most. Dogs became a source of comfort and companionship, showing loyalty that spoke volumes about our bond. They belong. Ultimately, this profound connection illustrates how our lives intertwine with these loyal companions, reminding us that love and companionship come in many forms. The instinctual bond shared with our dogs reflects a deeper understanding of trust and devotion that enriches our everyday experiences. The more dogs I observed closely, the more I realized many dogs follow humans not because they are needy or obsessed, but because humans have gradually become the emotional center of how they understand safety, comfort, routine, and connection inside the world around them.